Who's actually going to get the most out of a high-end spotting scope like this? Who could walk away disappointed? And does the price make sense for someone who just wants a solid view on weekend hikes? Those are the three questions I hear every time a birdwatcher or field photographer starts scrolling through options. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last few weeks borrowing a Conquest Gavia 85 from a fellow enthusiast, taking it out on a misty morning birdwalk, a late afternoon deer stand, and even a quick trip to the coast to see a distant lighthouse, so I can tell you what the real-world experience feels like before you decide whether to click Add to Cart. First off, the biggest thing that separates this scope from a lot of the entry-level gear is the combination of a magnesium alloy body and a surprisingly compact form factor. When you're trekking up a ridge with a 10-pound pack, every ounce counts, and the Gavia 85 feels more like a sturdy piece of hiking equipment than a piece of optical hardware you'd need to lug around. The lightweight construction means you can set it up on a small tripod or even a sturdy monopod without feeling like you're carrying a cannon. That's a practical advantage you only notice once you actually try to use it in the field, and it's a reason why serious birders who hike to remote wetlands tend to favor this design over heavier German-made rivals. The ergonomics are another part of the story that gets overlooked in spec sheets. The large focusing ring is deliberately oversized, so you can make fine adjustments with a single hand while your other hand is holding the tripod or steadying the scope against a tree. When I was trying to lock in a warbler perched on a thin branch, the ring turned smoothly and stopped dead on the focal point without any grinding or wobble. That precision is especially helpful in low-light conditions when every fraction of a degree matters, and it's something you'll notice immediately if you've ever struggled with a tiny, stiff focus knob on cheaper models. Now let's talk optics, because that's where the ZEISS name really shines. The roof prisms are described as exceptionally precise, and the scope delivers an H-level image that feels almost three-dimensional. In practice, what that means is you get a bright, clear view with a level of detail you can actually use for identification rather than just admiring. On a foggy morning at the marsh, the T* coating on the lenses cut through the haze and gave me contrast that made the feather patterns of a little egret stand out like printed ink. The same coating helps keep glare down when you're watching waterfowl over a sun-glinted pond, so you don't have to fight the reflections that ruin many lower-priced scopes. The 30-60x zoom range is a sweet spot for many terrestrial observers. You get enough reach to see a pheasant a few hundred yards away, and you can pull back to 30x for sweeping landscapes or when you need a wider field of view to track moving subjects. The trade-off, however, is that you won't get the extreme magnification of a 80x or 100x spotting scope, which some high-end hunters prefer for long-range game spotting. If you're the type who spends a lot of time on open plains looking for distant antelope, you might feel the zoom stops a little short. On the other hand, for most birding trips, wildlife hikes, and even casual stargazing, the 30-60x window provides a practical balance between reach and image stability. Stability is another hidden factor that can make or break the experience. The Gavia 85's design assumes you'll pair it with a solid tripod, and it does a great job of staying locked in once you've set it up. I tested it on a lightweight carbon fiber tripod I already owned, and the whole system held steady even when a gentle wind picked up. The downside is that the scope's balance point sits a bit forward, which means you'll need a tripod with a decent load capacity and a sturdy center column to avoid the scope tipping forward during longer viewing sessions. If you're used to using a cheap, flimsy tripod, you might end up spending a bit more to get the stability the optics deserve. What about the weather resilience? The manufacturer promises a clear view in any weather, and the real test is when you actually get caught in a drizzle. The magnesium body doesn't rust, and the seals around the lenses kept moisture out, so there was no fogging inside the tube even after an hour of light rain. The coating also helped reduce reflections from raindrops on the front lens, so you could keep watching without constantly wiping the glass. That makes it a reliable companion for early morning outings when the dew is still clinging to everything, or for late-season hikes when you can't predict the weather. Now let's be honest about the price tag. This isn't a budget buy, you're looking at a premium segment item, and the cost reflects the ZEISS branding,